hard to counter, and in those rare situations where you do get countered, you just move it to another role.
All right, we've got Seraphine, Thresh, Syndra, Senna, Olaf, and Udyr all banned away. The Rell is locked in. We've seen plenty of play out of this champion so far. One of the top options that pretty much every team wants to play for engaged supports, and Azir will follow that one up here for TL.
Yeah, Azir, pretty standard. Pretty much feels like these days people are going towards Azir and Orianna and Syndra. That has kind of become the big three so incredibly often. You can go a different route if you want to go more towards poke. People are still playing Zoe, but it does feel like, especially when you're looking at a player like Jensen, he has been very comfortable to just kind of rotate between those three champions. They have made up the vast majority of his plays. This is number 5 for Azir. He already has 5 Ori games, 4 Syndra games thus far this split. Golden Guardians, though, showing us that it won't be a jungler, so at the very least we kind of know that this is going to be top or bot. The one thing I will say about the Gragas is now you have AP top, you have AP jungle, presumably, so they're going to need an AD mid laner, or they're going to need to flex things around. Because if you go triple AP topside, I think it's so easy for your opponents to itemize that it becomes almost trivial to deal with. So I'm now either expecting an AD mid laner, or I'm expecting them to put the Gragas down to support. If I'm TL here, I ban out some of the AD mid laners, ban out Yone, ban out something like even an Aurelia if you're concerned about that, because I think you can severely limit their options. Jace could be another good option there to actually take off the table. Banning Orianna just feels surprising to me, because I would be shocked if TL thinks that Golden Guardians is going to walk into a triple AP topside, but seems like that is their decision thus far.
Well, you did say that Orianna, Syndra, and Azir have fallen into that role of being the big three, so it could just be that Team Liquid is predicting that they want to go with that comfort, go for that standard style, and ignore the penalty of being triple AP topside. Either way, Orianna's banned away. They won't be allowing that. Samira banned out as well. Remember, this is before Samira took the Nerf bat to both kneecaps, so the champion is still pretty darn strong in the current iteration of the game we're seeing in front of us, so that one's banned out. Renekton also banned. Gangplank banned out. Niles has expressed his love for Gangplank as a champion plenty of times in the past, so they'll keep him off of that comfort. And let's see what TL wants to pick here. We need to see an AD carry. We need to see a top laner here from this squad.
Okay. Will be interesting to see exactly where they do want to take us. Tristana is actually really strong these days. I think Tristana is really underrated. It sees play now in mid lane and in bot. We know it's not going to go mid with the Azir, but I think Hail of Blades Tristana actually is quite powerful. You can rush attack speed. Berserker Greaves rush feels pretty standard to me, and just be able to have access to shoving in the wave constantly. This champion scales incredibly well, and it skirmishes very powerfully, and with Hail of Blades plus your explosive shot, you can actually charge that up very, very quickly and win out on some of these quick trades, even in the early game, which is one of the weaknesses that Triss has always kind of traditionally had.
Right. And on the other side, the Pantheon is locked in, a champion that found itself along the ban row for a lot of time leading up until this point, but Golden Guardian's going to get to play it here, and their last pick of the draft might just be this Zoe. They've got a couple more seconds to think about it in case they want to swap it out at the last moment. And with that Yone still open, This is what you were talking about, Isaac. Since that was not banned away from Team Liquid, Yone can be drafted here by Golden Guardians.
So now we have to figure out where everything is going to go. You know, presumably it would be Pantheon support. I think that's what most people are going to assume. Gragas, obviously, there is some potential to be flexed around down towards the bot lane, but Yone would fix their triple AP topside conundrum that I was mentioning, and that's why I expected that to be banned out. It seems like the obvious pick when you do want an AD mid laner. It's the most popular these days. Camille going to come through here for Alphari. And this has been one of his kind of bread and butter picks. This has been one of the key differences when you compare how Alphari was playing to how Impact had played for the team before. Camille was not something that Impact really played. It allows them to focus on this split push. They have Hecarim, so they have a strong dive buddy alongside that Hecarim with the Camille. Rell can set that up as well. You have very strong, high, consistent DPS from your backline with the Azir as well as the Tristana. So pretty well-rounded composition here, all things considered. Oh, they swapped!
Oh, baby. All right. So it's Niles playing the Pantheon top into the Camille, and we'll have Gragas on support there in the bottom lane. How do we feel about this, Isaac? Pantheon and Camille, top lane matchup.
This is pretty crazy. So I think this was really trying to kind of pull one over on Alphari. You know, when the Camille comes through, I think you're going to feel pretty comfortable going up against that Gragas, you know, in more of a slower paced lane. But with Pantheon coming through, Pantheon can be incredibly difficult for a lot of these melee champions. It has one of the most oppressive lanes up in that top lane, and I would be interested to see if he wants to go crazy and go Ignite. He's not going to play Ignite, so it will be TP. Okay. But you've got to be so scared of the setup here. And he's not playing with Flash. It's going to be Alphari playing TP Ignite here. So this is something that, you know, a lot of people were kind of criticizing it because Cloud9 slammed it 3 times in a row. But Camille does like to play Ignite a lot of the time versus Renekton, versus I've seen it against Darius, Jax, some of these difficult melee matchups, because it takes away some of the advantage that they have in those early levels, right? And I talked about how Pantheon, as we may see tactical face check here.
Oh, tactical with the face check and the damage coming down, but he jumps away. And thanks to the rocket jump being skilled at level 1, he's just fine.
Yeah, that is why you do not put a point in any ability until you actually see what's happening at level 1. So able to skill that rocket jump. They would lose the push now if they actually wanted to try to really heavily go for it. But generally speaking, it's not going to be a big deal. And you'll see a lot of Tristana players actually forgo taking the E at level 1 because it can sometimes mess up your last hitting until you are past that first wave. But anyway, yeah, so this Ignite, the idea is to allow him to contest the early game of the Pantheon. He already knows he's going to win the later stages of that 1v1, so we'll see how they're going to be able to deal with that. The one risk for Alphari is that you have a point-and-click stun from Niles, so if Iconic gets up there and they can actually set up some sort of a gank, we have seen Ignite Camille die many times to jungle pressure.
Well, talking about jungle pressure, one thing that we also have to acknowledge is that Niles practically has a sign on his back that says, "Gank me." Players, teams, doesn't matter who they are, love to send attention top lane and try to bully this guy out of his laning phase experience. So I'm curious just how much attention Team Liquid and specifically Santorin is going to put up here onto this top side, especially when you consider the Ignite teleport. From ahead, this is so difficult to play against because of the fact that she's able to be all over the map as well as having the 1v1 priority. So if Santorin wants to focus on this, Niles might have a pretty hard life here.
I will say, though, when you're considering the 2v2, Hecarim early game is not really that powerful, right? You know, I would actually favor the Pantheon as well as, you know, having that Lillia. I do think they have the advantage in that 2v2. The Ignite changes things somewhat, so it comes down more to execution, but it's much easier with that point-and-click stun here from the Pantheon to be able to set up any sort of gank. And having this Ghost Hecarim come in, it is risky because if Lillia is in the brush and you show up, you could just die. So I do think that Alphari will be left a little bit more to his own devices, and it's going to be up to Iconic, I think, to get up here and punish. But Iconic has not been an active jungler. Like, he has been playing pretty well, but for the most part, he's very passive. He sits back, he farms, he has relatively low jungle pressure when you're looking at his jungle proximity. He just doesn't spend a lot of times around his lanes, so we'll see if that's going to change here now with that Pantheon that's going to want to play aggressive.
Well, he sets down a ward in the enemy jungle just to make sure Santorin isn't going to be passing through here as he goes to take this topside Scuttle Crab. But since we have perfect information, we know that the junglers are on opposite ends of the map right now. Both of them decided to go for a full clear, and they'll take Scuttle Crabs on opposite ends of the river. Santorin now approaching towards that mid lane here. Wards will spot him out, so shouldn't be able to find a whole lot out of that one with CoreJJ going in on the bottom side. 2v2 with Stixxay getting away immediately with the flash, trying to stay alive, down to 200 HP. And there's that TL aggro in the bottom lane.
Yeah, there's the Hail of Blades as well, really shown off. You get that flash in on top, CoreJJ lands the stun, and they have those 3 quick autos stacking the explosive charge for a really big amount of damage. I think Tactical was 1 auto off of actually proccing the explosive shot there, which would have meant he would get a reset on his jump and probably could have actually jumped in and potentially killed off Stixxay. But they are able to survive. It's also worth mentioning that it is AP Gragas down here. He's actually playing Spell Thieves and Comet.
Oh, here we go. This is what I was talking about. They focus Niles, going in for some damage, but not enough before he gets away underneath the Tier 1 turret. Santorin's presence up here was very welcome to make sure that wave collides with the Tier 1, though, and allows Alphari the opportunity to back and reset.
I mean, Niles is kind of trolling. Santorin just cleared, didn't he just clear a ward right in front of him?
He saw it with the Scryer's Bloom and then cleared it.
Yeah, so you have so much time to react there. That is a huge mistake, as maybe you're going to be able to force out Summoner, but not going to happen.
Gutter ball.
That's one of the reasons that Niles gets ganked so often, is because he's pretty easy to gank. He doesn't respond very well to a lot of these situations. You know, it's not just trying to bully the rookie. It's that teams have found it's a very successful strategy. So now he has no flash, and his wave is pushing away from him. And it is Ignite Camille, so the summoner advantage is heavily over towards Alphari. And this is even scary to TP back towards because Lillia's on the bot side. So either he gives up a freeze right now to Alphari, or he TPs in and just kind of says, hope the jungler's not here. And in this case, the jungler is not. But you have got to be really, really nervous about these next couple minutes where you're playing without flash, because anytime you're pushing up, you're a pretty easy kill now, especially once Alphari gets 6.
Yeah, Alphari, very scary here on the Camille, waiting for that big point, but he's still down a little bit of minions here with a big wave pushing towards him. He will alleviate a lot of that difference just by farming those up underneath the turret. Team Liquid does have themselves a 400 gold lead thanks to farm advantages across the map, with the biggest one of those being the one you're looking at right here on the screen. AblazeOlive, 20 farm behind Jensen, playing this Yone into the Azir, and I do want to point out lethal tempo on the Azir, which scales well into the team fights and allows him to bully melee matchups like this that much more effectively.
Yeah, lethal tempo people generally really like into melee champions. You know, you see Comet or Electrocute into the range matchups. It's just so easy to actually proc the lethal tempo with a Q onto the melee champion as they try to last it. Then even if you don't get an extended trade, you now have the bonus attack speed to shove in that wave really, really fast and make it more difficult for AblazeOlive to last it over that turret. Jensen really laning very, very well here. And this is a pretty atypical composition, you have to say, from Golden Guardians. So I do think their early game is important. I also think that their execution is so important because you're playing AP Gragas, which is ridiculously squishy. I mean, Newbie basically has his one engage, and then he's going to die instantly if he gets...
Yeah, you automatically die every fight.
Yeah, so you have got to be so on point. Like, you've got to nail your combo. Yone comes over top to follow it up. Pantheon ulting in. Everything has to happen perfectly. And if it does, to be fair, you might just insta-kill Tactical or Jensen before they can do anything. But if you misstep at all, the sustained damage that's going to come out from TL will destroy you.
Well, TL is going to grab their first Drake here, 7 minutes into the game, so they'll add that neutral objective to that factor of things that are contributing to their winning so far. They've got 500 gold lead, so again, nothing huge, nothing crazy. Golden Guardians is not super far behind the curve of things. Niles did purchase a tier very early on here for the Pantheon, so just trying to alleviate some of the mana issues, allow him to spam those abilities a little bit more effectively up here, and he does still maintain a CS lead as well.
Yep, yeah, he's not doing terrible by any means, but the concern is always going to be compositional, right? When you're looking over at these two comps, when you're picking Pantheon for that top side, you are kind of expecting to get more of a lane advantage, and losing your flash does kind of hurt that. You know, Yone as well, I think, is a lot more difficult to actually execute on in a team fight than something like Azir. Tristana scales incredibly well. You have amazing counter engage and engage with the Rell, so I like TL's composition way more, to be honest. I think that there are ways for Golden Guardians to win, but my concern is more about the game state given the compositions than just a pure gold lead.
AblazeOlive using the Soul Unbound to place that ward down there by the Rift Herald pit and make sure he has an escape route after the fact. Of course, that means 15 seconds until he's allowed to use it again, so he'll need to play nice and back here and not give Jensen an opportunity to all in him as the Azir at level 8 with that Shurima shuffle ready to go. Santorin once again showing up here on the top side of the map, sweeping, looking for wards, nothing to be found. And that means that Alphari going forward here with a hook shot is signaling it's time for the horse to go on in. Niles is the target. As per usual, enemy teams will focus him down, and first blood to Alphari.
Really nicely done there, able to get that kill. And it was pretty easy. They didn't even have to commit the Hecarim ultimate. They didn't use the Ignite from the Camille as well. The only thing they actually used there was the Camille ulti. And this is that situation that I'm talking about. When you don't have flash, it's really hard to actually commit to resetting the wave. So the wave is frozen there. He's sitting pretty defensively in the brush, but because he's that far up, it just doesn't matter. He's trying to just soak experience at this point. And he has that summoner disadvantage, so they're able to go up there, get a pretty easy kill. Iconic tried to get up for the counter gank, but Golden Guardians is not the ones being proactive in this lane. You know, it's now level 7 on the Hecarim before there was any sort of fight up on the top side. Iconic hasn't even tried to gank anywhere, so I do worry how this lane is going to look going forward.
Golden Guardians see the opportunity to make a play on the top side of the map now as they go for the Rift Herald and should be able to secure that one there. You can see Iconic picking it up. They know that Camille just used her ulti to get that kill on the top side so that at least Team Liquid are down a couple of resources. But considering all 5 players from Golden Guardians rotated up there to guarantee that Rift Herald, that's just free money for Tactical down here in the bottom lane, utilizing the turret pushing power of Tristana to grab a couple plates.
Yeah, this is another really nice thing about Trist is potential all-in, just looking like it will be a trade unless Jensen wants to fly in there. But anytime Tristana gets access to a tower, you destroy those things. Nice dodge out, trying to avoid that ultimate coming in from Yone, both because of the rapid fire as well as the explosive shot. So it looks like he's just rushing towards a shield bow. I think that makes a lot of sense with Pantheon and Yone, but now another attempt here mid.
Pantheon coming in, but Jensen with the early flash away, making sure that he pays respect towards Golden Guardians and does not give away a kill on that one. So Niles' ulti will force Jensen's flash, but nothing more.
Good trade, you have to say, from Golden Guardians. It's a nice attempt there from Niles. They don't get the kill because Jensen was very respectful with that early flash, as you called out. But you're still going to be happy about that pressure coming down here from Niles. Being able to make something happen with that ultimate is important on the Pantheon. You don't want to just be stuck in that laning phase forever, farming it out against Camille, especially if you're not playing, from a dominant position. You need to be out on the map making moves because you are going to get outscaled. It is that ticking time bomb that is Camille over there. So Pantheon needs to be proactive, just as we saw him able to do.
So do you think we're going to see the full build of the Mana Moon here, or is it just going to be a tier for the Mana's sake as Jensen's going into the mid lane, uses the ulti, but gets the flash out of AblazeOlive, so both mid laners now without the flash?
My assumption would be he's just actually sitting on it for now, maybe going to see it completed later. I would be surprised to see that rushed as a first item because I do generally think that some of the lethality items are pretty effective early on as those mythics coming through for Pantheon. You also can go towards things like Gore Drinker, so I think he has pretty good mythic options. It's possible he completes it later, but definitely wouldn't expect it as a first item.
Team Liquid are up 2,500 gold, Isaac. 12 minutes into the game, 1 kill on the board, no turrets. Just the farm leads. Mid lane, bot lane, jungle. Yeah, top is pretty much even, but the plates that they're picking up on top of that, all 15 plates still intact on the Team Liquid turrets. And while the top lane for Golden Guardians is singing the same song, mid lane has lost a plate, bottom lane has lost 3 plates, and Team Liquid is quietly building up a nice, cozy advantage for themselves.
Yeah, they really are. And this is just, I think, playing right into Team Liquid's hands. They are a fairly slow team. They have a really good early game statistically, but it's generally through superior laning. It's not through, non-stop ganking and fighting. This is them in their wheelhouse. And Golden Guardians drafted a composition that I think plays even more into that. They're the ones that need to get proactive. They're the ones that need to be pushing the pace, and they're not playing that style of game. They're playing very defensively and letting TL with a compositional advantage just extend that gold lead further and further and further. This is going to be a 4th plate going down here for Tactical. Almost all those plates were also solo gold, so he is getting very rich and should be really close to completing this mythic item. And Tristana with an early shield bow, plus the self-peel of the Buster Shot, the ability to rocket jump and actually also have very long attack range, makes her one of the more difficult marksmen to actually dive onto and take out for champions like Pantheon and Yone.
Especially when those champions are not exactly ahead of the curve of the game either. Jensen losing some HP here in the mid lane. AblazeOlive using the full duration of the Soul Unbound to stick around there and take Jensen down to 40% HP. Down in the bottom lane, it's Golden Guardians summoning up that Rift Herald. They got 15 seconds left for the plate money. They recognize they're not going to get a better deal than this. And so newbie just decides, all right, let's go in there. Let's just get some money for it.
Yeah, I think it's the play. As you said, it's about to time out. You're not going to get something more, so just drop it. Make sure you're getting some gold. They get some of that into the hands of Stixxay as well, and you can see they're laying a trap, but there are question mark pings to where that bot lane actually is. We'll see if Tactical goes too far forward, but he knows someone could be in the brush, so he's playing it far back.
He's just trying to get himself on out of there. Flashes over the wall to escape both the bowling ball and the Gragas ulti, so Tactical survives the 3v1 attempt.
Nicely done. It did have an inkling that they could be there, but still it is another good play from Golden Guardians to force out those summoners, but you have to have the follow-up play. Getting the flash doesn't get you an inherent advantage. They have not gone back to attack Jensen a single time. Iconic still has yet to really try a gank, it feels like. I mean, I guess you can kind of count that one down to the bottom lane, but we got to see some punishes on these flashes.
Oh.
Now, Niles, you're just dead.
What in the world was that? Niles going in there with the blast cone after the last time he was in this area. Alphari was waiting on him. You have got to drop some question mark pings on that one. Just flies over the wall into the darkness.
Yeah, I mean, he just saw the Camille. He knew that they could be in that area, and going over, I mean, if you want to contest at the blue, okay, but then you have to wait for your jungler and probably even your mid laner to come over because Azir was also missing, so you know that possibility is there, and Niles getting punished again. Not only does he die, but he dies while flashing. That means their window is now gone for him to actually return to mid lane because Jensen's flash is coming back up. Tactical kills your tower in the bot lane, and this is becoming a very, very one-sided affair. You can see the mythics all coming through now for Team Liquid. Only CoreJJ as the support is not going to have it, and the itemization by comparison looking pretty sad on the other side.
Niles going to find himself in a bad spot here yet again. Team Liquid backing off with the TP showing up. AblazeOlive will be able to keep his ally alive. A nice ulti coming in there. AblazeOlive forced to reset his position as Santorin's going to tank up here on the front. Damage coming right back through, and Alphari takes the kill. Santorin is currently stuck in the alcove, likely to die here. Gets himself over the wall into the brushes. Wants to take AblazeOlive with him, but cannot do it. Golden Guardians makes that one a 1-for-1.
1-for-1, not bad. Tactical and CoreJJ are up here, but they saw everyone from Golden Guardians was there, so they didn't actually want to commit to the fight. They decided to stay on the outside. Jensen is pushing in mid lane, and now Tactical is actually just buying time. He's just sitting here to harass them on the way to mid lane. There was a wave at that tower. They were getting more tower damage down. Now he will very likely head down towards that bot side, but you know, more gold going the way of Team Liquid in that, because it is just that 1-for-1. It cost them the teleport. We can see again, Niles just getting picked on here. Doesn't have vision in the river. No one from his team is around, so the hook shot to be able to follow up as he goes back. And then as the TP comes through, it's a really nice start to it from AblazeOlive. I wasn't sure how much he could get done coming in at fairly low health, but he is forced to retreat earlier than he wanted to because he did enter the fight at about half health. But then Newbie is here, Stixxay is here, Iconic arrives as well, so they just decide, all right, give it up. Give that one kill over to Santorin as CoreJJ and Tactical don't want to enter the fight.
Yeah, if the Yone had plenty of HP, they probably save Niles there and end up being able to just grab the kill onto Santorin because AblazeOlive can stick around long enough with the DPS. But considering he dropped down to 300 almost instantly after his opponents landed after his ulti knockup, I don't fault him for jumping back and saying, no, I don't just want to give a free kill away over here. All 3 kills that Team Liquid has at this point, 17.5 minutes into the game, are on Niles there in the top lane. So I guess if you're looking for a silver lining for the Golden Guardians, the gold from the kills is being reduced every single time because he's on a death spree. Now, that's not too great of a silver lining. That's the knockoff silver that they put on the edge of something. It's not actually real silver. But the thing is, Golden Guardians are still looking to fight here for the 3rd Drake of the game. Team Liquid has taken the first 2, and Golden Guardians has priority over the pit right now. Santorin wants to enter, see an opportunity to turn this one into a 50-50. Alphari showing up from the side. Team Liquid going for the fight. Forget the Drake. They want the kills. Newbie's about to drop. They already lost to AblazeOlive. Santorin going in after Niles, looking to put him up to death number 4. A double kill back to Tactical. Santorin continues with the devastating charge. The sleep comes through from the Lillia, but there's no tier 1 turret to hide behind. There's no way out. CoreJJ with a flash engage just to make sure, and the Rell takes the ace.
They are just destroying Golden Guardians here. Bud Light ace for TL. They are getting it all, even pinging on towards this Rift Herald here. Multiple kills for Tactical. He already had solo gold from 2 turrets before this, and this is what I'm talking about. You've got to be there with the engage. Unfortunately, the follow-up was not timed well onto Tactical. Newbie had a good initial engage, but the Buster Shot was actually buffered for the ultimate. There was a gap between the Body Slam and the ultimate. There was no Yone ultimate or Lillia sleep or anything to follow that up immediately. There was no Pantheon there. So as soon as he survives, your Gragas is now done, right? He's pretty much got nothing left. You use that first spell rotation, you're flashed into the backline, you are just going to die. And so much gold is just going the way of Tactical that it's almost impossible to see them actually coming back and dealing with this Tristana. This base is going to be an enormous buy Both the towers they killed in mid as well as bot, he got solo gold on. He's now at 2 items plus the pickaxe. Stixxay just barely has his first completed. And wow, we'll see as this goes away. He's 2,200 gold above Stixxay and just so far ahead of the entire game. He has a lot of levels under his belt as well. He's the same level as Niles, the solo laner on the other team. And you have to remember, every level you get, you're getting additional range on Tristana, which makes it easier to get that use out of your gold.
8,000 gold lead at 20 minutes into the game is a point where I don't think Golden Guardians have a say in whether or not they win this game anymore without Team Liquid making a large error first. Nice use of the rocket jump from Tactical, guaranteeing that AblazeOlive doesn't get maximum range on the escape there with the ulti. Tactical just immediately coming back for the damage. Jensen the one who takes the kill credit. CoreJJ approaches from the flank. Niles trying to stay alive. Tactical down to 1/3 HP, but it does not matter. Jensen continues the chase with the rest of TL showing up here in the back line. Golden Guardians are falling to pieces, and Team Liquid picks up 3 for free.
Oh, you know it's doomed when there's a dive at your tier 1. The camera pans down to where the tier 2 is, and you're like, all right, Golden Guardians, here come the reinforcements. And it's all Team Liquid there too, already diving someone else over by that tier 2 tower when their teammates are dying at the tier 1. Team Liquid take it all. 21-minute Baron, 11,000 gold lead. This one is all done but the crying.
And let's take another look at how it started here with AblazeOlive finding himself caught between 2 long-range carries. I love that jump. So good.
And I mean, you're a full item up, right? It's a shield bow versus the shield bow pickaxe Phantom Dancer. When you could jump onto Yone's head as a marksman, and Captain Flowers is talking about how that's a good play and not you just take the game away. You're like, wow, I love when Tristana jumps on Yone's head. That's telling you a lot there. Because usually you'd be screaming, what is he doing? He just inted. But they are so far ahead. You can make that kind of play, and it is the correct play because they're ridiculously strong. He picks up the stopwatch off the back of that, but there's just no opportunity to actually attack Tactical here. And we even saw, again, really good timing with his abilities as the Pantheon came in and went for that W stun. Tactical had already buffered the ultimate, knocking him away, and that is the only gap closer that Pantheon has. So it really eliminated any threat that the Pantheon had in that fight immediately.
Golden Guardians are praying for a botched dive or something along those lines from Team Liquid, because barring that, this game is done. Almost 12,000 gold at 22 minutes. Everybody on TL still has the Baron buff for another minute and a half. Mid lane inhibitor's about to be taken down by Tactical. The rest of Team Liquid just protecting him as Alphari sets up the wave here in the bottom lane. CoreJJ is posturing aggressively. You know that this is a guy who's not afraid to go for a big play, go for a big dive. Alphari trying to go in here onto Iconic. Alphari's going to be taken down. Team Liquid going in for the 4v5, and they will just slaughter the Golden Guardians. A triple kill for Santorin's Hecarim. He wants to pad the stats a little bit further. You talked about how AP Gragas is squishy, and they just turn him into nothing, man. Snap your fingers and he's gone. Bud Light ace for Team Liquid. Protect that Shelly. No, the last turret shot took her down. We almost got the dancing Rift Herald. 23 minutes in. Team Liquid take down Golden Guardians. They are coming into week 3 looking strong, just trying to pad the stats a little bit further, see if maybe somebody's going to spawn. Jensen inted a little bit there to the fountain laser at the end, but it does not matter. GG, Team Liquid get the win.
Oh my god, and Team Liquid, these damn KDA players not protecting Shelly, chasing down the Gragas kill instead. What happened to protecting the 6th member of the team there? Shelly could have danced, but Team Liquid playing an incredible game, absolute dominance in this one. Golden Guardians got pretty clever with the draft, it felt like, and I did think that there was some merit to the draft, but I have to say I was so disappointed with how they actually played in-game. When you're drafting Pantheon, you're going to put this Pantheon up against the Camille, and Lillia doesn't even gank that lane a single time. The only time Lillia ever came up was after he was already dying to try to maybe save him, but it was like, you have got to be proactive. You have got to be the ones attacking. The only plays that Golden Guardians made where they forced out summoners or had some sort of pressure, they never returned. They never returned mid lane after forcing the flash there. They never attacked Tactical after forcing his flash. They never ganked for the Pantheon. So the follow-through after the draft just wasn't there, and they look completely outclassed across the board here by Team Liquid. Outlaned, outfought, outplayed. Very, very simple game for Team Liquid.
It was a great game for TL, and it's time for us to head to a break. But after that, we'll be breaking down the Team Liquid win with the State Farm Analyst Desk, so don't y'all go anywhere.